Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another Cwcism article, where today, ladies and gentlemen, as we are delving ever so deeper, ever so slowly into the what I can only describe as the comic section of the Cwictionary. In the last video, we just talked about the Rosechew as a species, and now we're going to talk about Sonichu as a species. As confusing and as batshit insane as it is. So, Sonichu is the name used for the predominantly male specimens of electric hedgehog Pokemon. They are mostly male. Their mostly female counterpart are the Rosechews. By having an entire species have the same name as a unique being, and giving all of its members the same title, these are not surnames, as Chris has stressed that surnames are largely absent in the names of electric hedgehog Pokemon. My god, that is a mouthful. Chris has only served to confound his readers, mess up continuity, and demonstrate that he's a lazy and unimaginative bastard. That's one way of putting it, I suppose. Appearance. Sonichus generally resemble bipedal hedgehogs in appearance, standing around 3 foot and 5 inches tall, with thick hides and large spikes, which are flexible so they can make physical contact with each other without causing an injury, kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog. In fact, that's literally just the entire point, isn't it? It's just Sonic the Hedgehog recolors. Though they have elongated ears and generally tails shaped like cartoonish lightning bolts, while the hands are completely articulated with 5 fingers and opposable thumbs. The feet of a Sonichu are just round stumps. They are seldom seen without a pair of white gloves and shoes of varying colours, even if they are completely nude otherwise. The shoes may be a necessity, as the nature of bare Sonichu feet make it impossible for a Sonichu to stand without them. Okay, that sounds like a marketing ploy if you ask me, but whatever. While a typical Sonichu has yellow fur, brown stripes, and red spots on their cheekbones, if we are to assume that the original Sonichu is the prime specimen, Sonichus can come in a variety of recolors, although a Sonichu's shiny color is exclusively white. Sometimes the Sonichu displays both other variations, such as an altered ear tips, epicantic folds. What on earth is an epicantic fold? Punchy, oh boy. Or a different tail altogether. The fur color of a Sonichu is susceptible to alteration by chemicals such as cherry cola. Boy, oh boy. Behavior. Though considered to be Pokemon by their creator, Sonichus might be better described as anthropomorphic animals. While not very intelligent, they are sapient and capable of many of the same skills as humans: tool usage, speech, and social interaction. According to Chris, Sonichus are not capable of speech at the moment in which they cease being Sonnies. They must be taught a spoken language in order to be able to say more than their name of their species. This a far cry from the impression actually given by Chris's comic. In episode 1, Sonichu is capable of speech immediately after his transformation. Punchy, Wild, and Bubbles are also capable of speech immediately after evolving into Sonichus and Rosechews. In issue 10, Sandy also hatched from her egg and could immediately speak. So far, a Sonichu not capable of speech has never been seen in Chris's comic. It should also be noted that Angelica and Punchy were raised by English-speaking owners that we have seen. The other members of the Chaotic Combo were raised by Pokemon, physically or telepathically, and should not be able to speak English. Heck, Magichan should more likely be mute and only speak telepathically. That might be quite interesting if Chris ever thought about doing that, never having Magichan speak, because if he did, some cataclysmic disaster might occur. That might be a pretty cool idea, but Chris is not particularly a very cool person anyway. no matter what he wants to call himself. In their natural habitat, Sonichus fill a number of societal roles: vigilante groups, radio announcers, and construction workers, using whatever supernatural abilities granted to them. They are not above being welfare recipients too. Yeah, because, why create a fantasy world where you could do and be whatever you want, as opposed to just sitting on your backside and claiming other people's tax-earned money? That's the reason why I think I raised objections, when Chris was in his, Lego video about Jackie and him, a typical day in the future. And apparently even in Chris's fantasies, he doesn't even have a job because, you know what? If it's a fantasy, you could be whatever you want to be. But Chris literally cannot think anything beyond being unemployed. Sonichus are constantly searching for a mate. I wonder what that's in reference to. And perhaps with some assistance will fall in love with the first rose true they see, assuming that they are heterosexual. The ensuing pair, without exception, will enter into a courtship of poor imitation of humans. However, unlike humans, Sonichu and Rosechu mates completely lack tension or discord, suggesting that the lifelong bond is purely out of instinct to guarantee that any resulting spawn gets care from two parents, though not guaranteed to be good or even adequate care. Considering the extremely low capabilities of said spawn, this may be a necessity. I'd say it would. I'm not even a zoologist, but I'd probably say it. Sonichus and reproduction. Well, we did Rosechu's and reproduction. We may as well, give him the same treatment. A Sonichu's penis, just take that in. Poor choice of words, I know. And testicles reside entirely within its abdominal cavity, meaning that Chris most likely got the idea from reading POW comics. While the testicles are pre-mentally contained behind a bone-like structure for production, the penis can emerge for urination or intercourse when the Sonichu leans forward, causing the erect penis to slide out purely by gravitational force. You would need some kind of force if you're going to hold that shit in. Besides, just something I'd just kind of like to point out because of Chris's, terminology into, what sex is just as appalling as ever. The reason why I know, for any bloke, for any man out there who does not know this, I may as well just say it for everyone. The reason why the testicles have to be outside the human body is because they have to be at a certain temperature below 37.5 so that things like sperm cells don't die within seconds. And also because they need to be, like I said, outside the body, because even though the journey, if they were going to do, if impregnation was going to happen, they have to take the shortest journey possible, and you get the idea. It has to be a shorter journey as it can from the sac inside the testicles to the end of a person's erect penis. It has to be as short as that, and it can't be any colder than that. That's kind of like why a human's a penis has to be a certain degrees and outside the body as well. I think that's pretty much what it comes down to, although I'm pretty sure there's far more detailed explanations than that. This system displays a clear lack of knowledge of biology. And it just talks about it anyway, but my entire rant was for nothing. Damn it. As the reason that the testicles are outside the body is because the body's core temperature is not ideal for sperm production. Thus, unless Sonichu sperm is more than heat resistant than normal mammalian sperm, Sonichus should be sterile. Unfortunately, they are not. In addition, Chris never explains if the penis always slides out when the Sonichu leans over, although it obviously isn't the case. And he never mentions conscious control over the action. All of this goes to show that people who have no knowledge of biology should not set out to create detailed organ systems for their fictional creatures. Sonichu's sperm count is extremely low when compared to humans. The number of sperm cells Chris released by a Sonichu per ejaculation stands at a couple of thousands at most and can be as low as mere hundreds. That is very, very low. Like, really low. In comparison, human sperm count must be at least over 15 million sperm cells per millimeter in order to be considered healthy. There you are, ladies and gentlemen, if you learn something new every day. It should also be noted that the volume of semen ejaculated by a Sonichu is also much higher than the amount of the average human male. Whereas human males will ejaculate on average about 0.1 to 10 millimeters of semen, Sonichu's ejaculation numbers 100 to 500 millimeters. On average, more than the amount ejaculated by both horses and elephants. It may be that poor elephant must be exhausted. That must be dreadful, isn't, when you think about it, when you've got no hands or, no way you can like clean that shit. Let's not go there. It may be due to the extremely low sperm count that more semen must be ejaculated to create a balance. It can easily be said that the recycling is unpopular among Sonichus. But due to easy access of semen recipients, this is not a major issue. Is this going to be Sam and Ellen? Oh no, it's Rose Juice. Okay, I suppose. That makes slightly more sense than yeah. Chris has mentioned that a Sonny is born as the result of intercourse between a Sonichu and a Rosechu, or some combination of the above and a Ditto Pokemon. Presumably, a Ditto would have to assume the form of an opposite-sex electric hedgehog Pokemon, a Rosechu. While discussing a sex scene involving Punchy and Layla, which was supposed to be included in the Dating Ed episode... Why would a Dating Ed episode include a sex... I don't... It was eventually left out of the final version. I see. Chris and Ivy failed to agree over which character will bring the condoms. So eventually Chris decided that Layla had the ability to choose when to get pregnant. That's not how that works. This statement implies that intercourse between a Flaffy and a Sonichu can result in an offspring, and since two Pokemon of different species must share at least one egg group, in order to successfully mate, it can be assumed that Sonichus belong to either the Field Egg group and or the Monster Egg group. I think that sounds as terrifying as it is. Do I dare click on this? Actually, no, I won't. If Chris had ever given thought to this matter, it is more likely that he placed Sonichu in the former group and is also one of the egg groups to which Pikachu belongs. Sonichus and evolution. I've covered this before, but yeah, you'll be forgiven in thinking if this looks confusing. The infant Sonny is first born in egg form from a Rosechu mother. When the egg hatches, either a Sonny or a Rosie is birthed. This infant can already have a certain subtype. Wild, for instance, was born as a green Sonny with a grass subtype. After being nurtured for some time, the spawn may even evolve into a Sonichu. More like Hellspawn would be a better phrase for it, but that may be a bit mean. Variant depending on their emotional state, and what item they're holding, if any. In the classic Sonichu strips from Sonichu issue 0, an evolution of Sonichu called Metonic can be seen. According to the strip and an Animal Crossing card, imagine an Animal Crossing card being, a plot point or relevant from the scrapbook. Sonichu evolves into Metonic by being traded while holding a metal coat. However, Chris stated that only the original Sonichu can evolve into Metonic. He also stated that the rest of the Sonichus and Rosechus have no current evolution, emphasis added, leaving it open for him to devise separate evolutions for them in the future, if he bothered to put any effort into it, that is. In episode 21, Sonichu transformed into Ultra Sonichu, after being brought into contact with the 7 Sonichu balls. Balls. Although the change was temporary. As with Metonic, this evolution is exclusive to the original Sonichu. Despite all being electric in their primary type, no Sonichu other than the original has had his clone, Blake, has demonstrated the use of electric powers. It can be assumed that being electric type is only for the purpose of calculating weaknesses and strengths. And this is all the list of current Sonichus. Sonichu, Blake, Blazebob, Bobby, Christian, Colossal, Darkbind, IBA, DJ, Magi, Michael, Mitch, Punchy, Rennock, Swift, Wesley, Wisp, and Wild. And as stated before, I'm going to do a video exploring every single current Sonichu and Rosechu, just to get a clear understanding of all of them. If there is anything worth discussing, if what they said about Rosechus is anything to go by. But there you are, ladies and gentlemen. They're just Sonic the Hedgehog recolors. And somehow, apparently, just doing like this means that their penis is going to fall out. That's charming to know. You know, when I write about, like terminology and about what my characters are about, I don't go into detail about exactly how they go about mating. That's just something I never even thought to consider, because if it's not worth going to be explained in the story, it's not worth putting it in. But Chris had just had to, for some reason. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video talking about Sonichus as a species, and I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, bye bye for now.